So America 100% should acquire Greenland, and a lot of people who do not understand the main concept and strategic benefit for America overall either don't know the history or simply do not understand strategic positioning and the new world order. Let me ask you this. Would you rather spend $600,000 and live in 10 years in the same apartment and invest $400,000 on the side in crypto or stock market, or you rather buy $1 million apartment right now? It's a very interesting question, which I believe a lot of people, the smarter ones, will spend a lot of time analyzing, trying to debate in their own mind which decision will be better for them. Let me explain and let me give you the real facts behind this strategic move and why this is the best decision that President Trump could actually do. Follow the details, look at the map. First of all, this is very important because the location, the position of Greenland allows America not only to position the Golden Dome system and to also track all the naval positions of Russia and China that they use this particular terrain and this channel to move a lot of ships. This will allow America also to gain access to the rare earth mineral wealth, which not a lot of people are familiar with, simply because the land is so small, simply because the country is not as popular. People are not really familiar with what is behind the rare earth minerals. Remember, there was a special deal for many years between the US and China. Recently, China has discontinued the deal, didn't renew the deal, so they decided to keep the rare earth minerals for themselves. And last year, there was a special negotiations between Ukraine and the US for the special minerals from Ukraine. So understand that rare earth minerals are extremely important for negotiation and strategic advantages. Look at this. According to the map, with these particular minerals, Greenland holds massive reserves of these particular elements that are used for EV, wind tech, weapons, and electronics. This will help America to gain edge over China, which China, as you're not familiar, one of the most important minerals for production of the EV are actually in China. We have plenty of those. And if America gains access on Greenland, it might actually edge out even more ownership of America over Greenland. It is very important. You recently probably heard that some of the people who are actually controlling Greenland will create a special office where they're going to negotiate, probably sign some economic or trade agreements with the US, trying to get them just, to utilize the land or to utilize some strategic military positioning, not to give away the whole land, but most likely this is what is going to happen. Second important element here that no one actually understands, there is a geopolitical power play in this area. When you rewrite the maps of America, starting from Greenland all the way down, you will understand how there is a strategic position that crosses territories that will give a completely different parameter of information. Historical expansion, like the Louisiana Purchase, doubled the territory and changed completely not only the strategic reserves on the military side, but also increased the GDP, because when you have more land that is adjacent to the original land, you have actually more people who can live there. You can create another part of the country where you can bring production, you can bring military base, you can bring any other fundamental manufacturing that could actually sustain. And the position is very good because monitoring, especially on the northern side, it will help a lot, considering that a lot of innovations now are focusing on the military, combining with the AI technology. So you need to think about what is good and what is best for America. You should stop thinking about anything that is secondary at this very moment. And you understand that this is also going to be good for people from Greenland. You need to understand it is much better for them to have the protection from the US military versus having what? Come on, it is also much better for these people actually to be not only protected, but be part of the bigger economy, be part of the bigger trade agreements, be part of something that is actually dominant around the world, right? It is almost alike you prefer to own 0.03% of Google versus owning 50% of something that is not valuable at all, right? The numbers only make sense when the numbers are part of something important and something valuable, right? If you have 100% of some village in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of ocean, who cares, right? This is why there is a strategic point considering the military positioning. Second, there is a strategic mineral rare earths deal that most likely will happen, that will be secured, which is a gaining edge on another level. And then third piece, of course, is reshaping the map, reshaping the actual positioning of America, which will help to have this adjacent part, which will increase the territory. And of course, the next logical step will be Canada, but this is a longer and further discussion. But I want you to visualize the power structure of America. I want you to visualize how beneficial. There is no downside or drawbacks. Sure, there will be some other countries not happy with doing that, but again, other countries have no benefits of this. America has. So America should focus on its own political, financial, and economic benefits in this very moment. This is something very good, very important. Not a lot of people understood this. They're just talking and focusing on secondary subject matters without backing up the facts. Because every single island or country that was purchased in the United States have never became worse, have never turned bad. All of them saw prosperity. All of them saw their infrastructure being built, the community, the people, the citizens, they get their life much better. They secure the healthcare. They had absolutely everything secured and fixed. Think about all the countries who want to be independent, small countries without resources, without knowledge, without skills, with small population, especially the ones who are positioned in a very further from the equator areas where the tough weather simply doesn't allow them to grow their own, let's say, agriculture, doesn't allow them to have infrastructure, doesn't allow them to have industrial revolution, and doesn't allow them to build anything. There's no technology out there. So why would you not allow the local people to have better life, better opportunities? Why would not allow them simply utilizing the rare earth minerals which are not utilized? As we have guessed, why would a country like Greenland will utilize these rare earth materials when they don't do business with them, right? They don't have much exports, they don't do much of EV trade negotiations. And the counter argument that we're hearing from Europe, trying to allow more Chinese businesses investing in Europe, it's really disturbing. Remember how many years China has been trying to get the Chinese EVs in Europe, and this was not something that the local car manufacturers were happy with. And now it seems like this is going to happen. Some people will think that investment opportunity is risky. Anything that is not a tangible asset like the real estate you cannot feel, touch, it's unusually and it's possible to actually underperform, and it's possible to lose the money. I want you to think about this. Run the numbers for yourself. 10 years, $60,000 per year, which is $5,000 a month. You're renting it, you live 10 years in this very nice apartment. $5,000 includes everything, from internet, utility bills, whatever. But after 10 years, you can move. You spend $600,000 to live in this apartment, but you invest the remaining $400K. You invest the $400K and you wait these 10 years, and this $400,000, hopefully, the compounding year over year. Run the numbers. Even if you run the simple equation with S&P 500, 7 to 10%, this year is around, the last year was around 16% on year over year, right? So you need to understand that compounding, even modest expectations, will still beat the appreciation of the apartment if you buy it today at $1 million. And a lot of people might say in the comments, well, it's not everything investment, this is my main residence, right? I would, be comfortable spending this money and probably losing more on the depreciation on the asset, on the stagnation of the market, on furnishing, holding cost, missed opportunity cost, not investing. A lot of people will be okay with this. Not if you realize that after 10 years, your cost will not be 1 million that you purchase price the property for, but you have to add annual property taxes, annual HOA fees, annual city tax, annual renovations, mortgage, insurance on the mortgage, interest on the mortgage, right? You need to adjust all these expenses for the same duration of 10 years. You maybe end up holding $1.8, $1.9 million out of pocket, but the property still is valued at $1 million. In 10 years, there could be a small, modest appreciation, probably, if you are lucky, $150,000, $200,000, which if you sell it for, it still will be eaten out by the broker who is selling the apartment for you on your behalf. So this is why I want you to learn the simple math. Stop listening to the voices. Just don't let anyone to follow you on ideas. Don't get me wrong, sometimes there are deals that are no-brainer. If you do not have an HOA fee, if you buy a real estate which an actual land underneath worth more than actual construction, if you can buy the property in state where there is a very little property tax, if you actually buy a property in area which every single year has seen a substantial increase, this is also very, very interesting aspect to look into. Remember, when you look at real estate, being residential, commercial, you need to understand the cost associated with. You have holding cost, how much it costs you to own it, to maintain it. And then you have to look at the maintenance, then you have to look at the opportunity cost, which is what else I could have done with this money versus putting them or locking them up with the actual property. And like I said, when you own it, on the way in, you pay a lot of money through the process, broker, dealers, middlemen, paperwork, etc. Right? On the way out, you still pay a lot of money. You pay the broker fees, closing costs, sometimes depending of the state, paperwork, deeds, transfers, lawyers, notary, right? All these things, you're always charged. Like the transactions that are appearing, you never win. It's you barely can win unless you're a person who actually flips real estate, buys complete garbage, very bad condition in a very bad areas, buy something for 50k, fixing it for like 10, 15k and selling it for 100, making 25, 30, paying the taxes 5, 7k and being left with around 20k profits. And he has to flip 5 of these to make $10,000 a month or profit. I'm talking about actual profit after taxes and so on. But it's too much work for very little profit. This is why I'm leaving you with the idea that you can always do the simple math, something that everyone knows. You just do the segregation study. You understand all the different places where you have to spend money to keep the property, to acquire the property, to sell the property. And then when you draw the line, you could see, okay, This is the best case scenario, and this is the worst case scenario. Best case, how much this property could appreciate in 10 years. And then it's easy. You can go on Zillow and find apartments or houses in your area. And Zillow has small chart, small graph. It shows you this house was listed for $150,000 more in 2008. Then after the 08-09 financial crisis, the house was listed for $300,000 less. Then you can look how many years after that on the market, the house didn't see any appreciation. It was completely flat price-wise. Not to mention a lot of people who bought right before the bubble bursts, they're still in red. Imagine you bought house 20 years ago and you're still on loss, you still overpaid. First of all, I want you to understand that every ownership of real estate is connected with major variable and fixed costs, okay? First of all, let's focus on the biggest expense that is usually fixed. You have HOA fees every single month and you have property taxes. On top of that, you got one-time big lump sum down payment. You have closing costs, you have sales tax, you have to pay the fee for the broker, then you have furnishing, then you have, usually if you live in the big city, you have another city tax, which is on top of that. And other cities have also luxury real estate tax, which is for properties above certain threshold. Very simply, if you're paying $1,000 a month for HOA, and if your property taxes come to be around $1,000 per month as well, this is $2,000 just going nowhere. This money are not going towards your equity. On top of these expenses, you will most likely have a mortgage, which comes with interest payments, and you have insurance on top of your mortgage. Don't forget that from time to time, you also going to spend money on renovations. Things in your house will break, and you're going to be the one that is in charge with fixing them, finding person to fix them, make an appointment, wait for this person to come over and fix them, check what they fix, pay them. Let's presume that you, instead of buying this very same property, you rent it out. Let's say you rent out this one-bedroom apartment and you could get it for $2,000 a month, which is equivalent of $1,000 HOA that you would pay if you owned it, and $1,000 property taxes per month. 1 year of these fixed expenses as an owner would be $24,000. You can live in this apartment, renting it, still paying $24,000, but basically that's all the costs associated with living in the same exact space. You will spend $100 to $300 extra probably for utilities, things that depend on you, right? Depending how you get the apartment, furnished, less furnished, more furnished. You can get IKEA and then everything deassemble after you move, and then you return everything, get your money back. There's too many things to work around with. But this is the whole expenses. You're skipping the down payment, which could be 20% of the total amount. $1 million apartment, 20% is $200,000. Down payment, closing costs, 40, 50, 60, 100,000, 140,000, 80,000, depending where you live. Sales tax, broker fee, then city tax, and probably luxury sales tax, which is for properties above certain threshold. Don't forget, when you buy it, it will be empty. You have to buy everything. $10,000, $15,000 per room for furnishing. This is usually just the small elements, not the work. Hiring somebody to actually implement and place things left and right and arrange them. In 10 years period, if you live in the same exact apartment, renting it, it will cost you $240,000. And sure, we can include every single year the rent to go up $100. For 10 years, like we mentioned, this is not going to be a game changer, right? It will be additional $1,000 for 10 years, which comes up to $241,000. This is your almost total out of pocket living in the same exact apartment. Living 10 years in the same apartment as an owner has a completely different math. Just from the interest alone, you're going to be paying off much more than $241,000 in the 10 years period. Just from the property taxes, just from the HOA fees, which every single year, don't get surprised, they also will go higher. Property taxes, they will also go higher. And don't forget that owning real estate requires maintenance. If you're renting out, if something breaks, you're gonna call the landlord. Also, you're taking very serious location risk, which means that if the neighborhood turns bad, and if you own the property, you're taking major financial loss because the property value will simply come down because the neighborhood is less desirable. And second of all, then you have to move. You have to take all your furnishing, you have to work with broker, list the property, then pay taxes on the sale. It's absolutely crazy. Crazy how many people do not do the simple math. There was an article, Wall Street Journal last week, stating, based on the current data, anyone who purchased any type of real estate after 2010 currently is underwater. Everyone is losing money, lost money, and is gonna keep losing money on their real estate investment. Regardless, some people are gonna make up the case, but that's my first home, that's my only residence, etc., etc., etc. Let me work out some different numbers that will make your life even easier and you will save even more money. Let's say you're renting out the same exact space. Let's say it's a one-bedroom apartment. It could be a studio as well. You can take a corner of the space, a quarter of the space. You can measure the square feet and you can write off this particular part of your living space. It's a business expense. You're gonna buy a desk, buy a laptop, all the equipment that you need to work from home. And this designated area will be used only for work. This is how your rent effectively went down. You could do the exact same strategy if you're owning it, but there is a major difference associated with your monthly cost. And don't get me wrong, the interest payments that you're gonna be paying off for the next 30 years, at the end of the day, the very last day when you actually completely pay off your real estate, don't get surprised if the interest payments are equivalent to the original purchase price of the property. Don't get surprised if you paid $1 million purchase price and $1 million in interest. Both combined, you spend $2 million without accounting for all the property taxes that you have paid, all the HOA fees that you have paid, all the money that you spent on renovations, fixing, all the other taxes associated with your property. And remember, when you sell it one day, regardless of the appreciation, you're still gonna pay taxes on the appreciation, which again will bring your total potential upside even lower. And when you deduct this very little upside, as we all know, there is a cycle of 10 years on average in New York City where all the real estate goes bust. Every 10 years, the real estate goes bust. Then slow recovery, 10 years, goes bust, slow recovery. This is why I never understood people spending millions of dollars, which is guaranteed almost in 90% of the cases that they're going to be losing money on this. I watched Rupert Murdoch sold his penthouse in New York City for a big loss, over $10 million lost of the purchase price. We're talking about real estate, which is unique, penthouse, amazing views, close to the Empire State Building, and he couldn't get break even. Not talking about making money on this unique real estate, unique piece of real estate. Imagine if the unique piece of real estate cannot be sold at break-even price, not talking about making money. Imagine if you just have an average one-bedroom apartment somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Chinatown, Little Italy, Soho, West Village, East Village, Broadway, whatever. It's absolutely amazing. So many smart people who made tons of money, and they simply don't do the math, or probably they do the math, they just don't care about the holding costs with the real estate. Because let's face it, real estate is a good spot to park a lot of money, but it's not a good spot for crazy appreciation. $1 million could be utilized for greater ROI, return on your investment, in many different niches, many different domains of business. Why, for example, I always rent, even though I can actually buy where I live, but I don't want to. Why? Very easily, I'm gonna simplify the mechanics and the numbers behind this. Once when you understand the math behind it, it will change your overview about owning any residential real estate.